Imagine playing this on move 1 as black, knight f6, the Alekhine's defense, or Aliekin. My pronunciation not always perfect. I'm sure someone can help me out. And doing it for chess glory. It's played in only 2% of games because it's a dubious opening at the elite level. You can see the evaluation bar on the left. It gives white a +1 advantage. That's a pawn ahead, with the material being level. These are also the clock times, 3 minutes per player, plus they get 2 seconds increment, that's time added back per move. White plows on here, the knight centralises, and d4. You've given the centre. Now who's playing and why? Well, with white, we've got the Uzbekistani super grandmaster Nodibek Abdusatorov, his opponent, the Chinese player Wei Yi. It's a 4-way tiebreak at the Tata Steel Masters final round, the Wimbledon of chess, prestigious tournament, and this is the semi-finals game 2. Awesome game on the way, let's check it out. So d6 undermines that centre, critical idea, undermines, comes from the olden days when the castle was under siege and the miners would literally start mining under the walls, trying to collapse them. That's what you're trying to do here. So knight f3 develops, we get captures, knight takes play, this is mainline theoretical stuff. c6 covers the centre, keeps an eye on a quick c4 and d5, trying to bulldoze your way through, and now I'm drawing a number of bishop moves that have all been played. If not c4, this one was selected in the game. Knight d7 challenges the strong knight in the centre. You can retreat when you're the side with more space, as white is here. Keeping pieces on the board generally advised, but takes was played in this game. Playable variation, bishop recaptures, you've still got the centre, castle's played, and now pawn g6 prepares to fianchetto that bishop. Beautiful Italian word. Now rook e1, always stick your rooks on open files, or half open files as we'd call this, because there's just one pawn there. We see the bishop developing, the centre under fire, c3 defends, sets up the old half a party hat. You're missing the full party hat. No one's going to have fun at this party, but wait, yes they are, because there's a big attack coming. Knight d2, but for which player? We'll find out. Rook c8 played, and it's looking for c5. You want to chip away at this space that white has. So knight e4 now comes on the board, covers that c5 square, brilliant centralizing move. Rook e8 looks for e5 potentially, another thematic pawn break for black, and so bishop g5. Provocative move. You stop e5 of course, unless you want to go for the old Botez gambit. And now, if you go f6, well, it's a bit Swiss cheese around the king. You weaken that diagonal. So h6 selected. Drives back the bishop. Now b6, supporting a later c5 and queen c1. There's a sneaky move, pressuring that pawn. So king h7 to cover. And now classic, attacking idea, h4 on the board. You slightly weaken your king, arguably, anytime you push the king's defenders. But here, we want to undermine this diagonal, rip open the king. So f5 from Wei Yi in response. Ambitious move, because you're pushing more pawns around the black king. The knight driven back, and now the computer wants e6, stabilise the f5 pawn. If h5, then g5 in response. But what Wei Yi goes for is explosive c4, he plays e5. That was a c4 reference to Dynamite. Now this is awesome. The computer doesn't love it because of this following move. Why not captures here, by the way, and the board now greys out. We're into analysis mode. Well, then the queen can capture here. This is great for black suddenly. Big attack around the white king coming. So this one played instead. It allows black to take the centre with e4, but you can chuck in this Zwischenzug, which is an in-between move, German word, takes on g6 with check. And of course Nodibek being the consummate professional that he is, he knows to lean in towards Wei Yi and whisper "Zwischenzug" in a kind of creepy ASMR voice. That's what the top pros do at the board. Of course, they bellow French words at the top of their lungs, but the German ones, they whisper in a creepy kind of way. If you can be dehydrated with a sticky mouth, it even adds to the professionalism of the word. Now the king captures here, bishop e2, dropping back from the attack and setting up a threat. Bishop h5, king skewered to rook, you lose the exchange. So the king quickly scurries back into its cubby hole, and now knight h5 played instead. Awesome move, pressuring the bishop, but also keeping an eye on this key f4 square. You know, you never want to let those black pawns start rumbling. So dangerous after that, opens the scope of the bishop, etc. So rook g8 covers that sniper, aka the bishop, and now Nodibet can play slow here. He's got the advantage. g3, that kind of thing. But he goes c4, real explosive move. Dynamite, but a bad move. Look at this evaluation bar. Black has a winning attack if Wei Yi can find a move. He invests some serious time here. You know, when these top guys know that something's not right, their spidey sense tingles. They know there's tactics in the air, but the time's ticking. How much time do you invest? If you go wrong, your material down. Well, the move that could have been played here is bishop takes on d4. Fantastic stuff, because if this knight is captured by the pawn, this is the follow-up move. Queen h4 threatens devastation on f2, then on g2, because of course this cannon is supporting the attack, and if bishop e3, so natural of course, intercepting the attack, then can you guess how black just rips open the white king here? Well, well done if you found the follow-up move of rook takes on g2. If king recaptures, the second rook joins the party, and it doesn't matter where you step, you know, you're getting mated. You can jump back with the knight here, let's explore that one. Then f4 comes, this is just so deadly. If bishop captures, we've got bishop h3 check. There's too many pieces joining the party. This is one of the few lines I never actually analysed. And here's a classic attacking idea. The pawn is pinned, you can't capture the queen. You know, this is now a checkmate. There are so many similar attacking ideas, whether you try rook f1, bishop e3, all of that stuff goes down to this absolute smash and grab on g2. So that was the way to go with bishop takes on d4. But the knight retreats. You know, Wei Yi, look at his clock time. He was at 2:11, now 1:21. 50 seconds invested. A long time in a 3-minute game. But he couldn't quite make it work in his head. Now he goes for this. Nodibet snaps the bishop off the board, quick as a flash. No longer wants his center to collapse and wins this pawn here. He is a pawn up. But rook g6, and we can see that the king is coming under fire. The pawn's blockaded for now. That's something at least. You kill the scope of this bishop. So knight e6, very natural, center under fire, therefore queen e3 and queen h4. The nice thing for Wei Yi here is all his moves are just flowing off the hand, right? The rook's coming in just a minute, of course, and so on. So what to play? This bishop's attacked. Don't go g3, or actually black can be taking twice here. There's a pin on that pawn. You'd lose a piece. So bishop g3 forced, the queen moves away, bishop e5, queen back. Is Nodibet going to go for a repetition? They'd drawn their first game, by the way. It's the best of 2 games, goes to then another kind of tie break if they draw them both. Well, no. Nodibet goes g3, wants to fight. And now this next move is critical. You know, if you go, I don't know, queen g5 or queen e7 or something, well, king g2 comes and the rook hits the h-file with devastation. So queen h3, very important. Box the white king in. That's why bishop f1 drives the queen away. Queen e2 offers an exchange. Remember, white's a pawn ahead here. You don't want the ladies to leave the board. If you're black, you need to attack. So queen h6 played, now bishop g2, rook c to g8, very natural, and now Nodebek can actually play this very, very slowly. He goes d5, but it's not the best. You know, what if a4, top engine move? Well, the point here is that if f4, which looks so desirable, well then this one collapses, the rook's pinned, and it's about to drop off the board here, and sure you can take here, but so what? Pawn recaptures, this one holds it, the bishop pair is just absolutely amazing. So actually, white can just sit steady here, but d5 was played instead. It drives the knight into this square, then we get bishop f4, a couple of imprecise moves, and bang, things are back roughly level, white no longer with the advantage, exciting game to come here, because check, now the bishop takes, you'd rather chop with that one than lose this one, which is blockading the pawns. Queen recaptures, rook ad1 and rook g4, Wei Yi turning the screw, because natural moves no longer work. This is really exciting. The bishop's about to drop, of course. There's a pin of this pawn by the second rook. And what if you go queen e3? How natural does that look? Well, then there's queen h4. This was the second hidden threat of this rook g4 move. Again, there's a pin, and look at this. You're just getting absolutely smashed to bits. It's mate in 4. You know, how do you stop the mate? Computer says give your queen. Say you do this to try and run away with the king. Well, no good. You checkmate with the rook, using these heavy pieces as lapels on the king, stopping the escape route. So that's why we see this move of queen f1. Excellent. No time to take the bishop, or you're going to win the queen here. And if takes first, well, then you can sidestep. Step away from the file, no longer a pin, you haven't got an issue. So the queen retreats, and now Nodebek had only one move here to keep the game balanced, but he did not find it. Do pause and test your tactical skills if you want to do so. And the way to go here to keep an equilibrium is queen to e2, with the sneaky point that if rook captures bishop, then you capture the queen. It's unprotected. This is the point. So that one is therefore immune. The queen can come back to h3, and you'd get a repetition like this. Because if black wants to do something different, not repeat, you know, say you take in the center, well then king g2 comes. Once again, the rook hitting the file with devastation. You can't even capture a second pawn, or this one drops. White is in the driving seat. So, queen e2 the move, missed. Bishop c7 was played instead, but the evaluation bar plummets, drops off a cliff because of, yes, you guessed it, f4. Finally, that devastating blow is achieved. You give this pawn on e4, but smash through to the king. And what to do here? You know, you'd love to go like f3 or something, just to try and keep the lines closed, but then you get mated in 1. So f3, impossible. Rook takes on g4, impossible. You get mated with the queen. So Nodebek chucks in this check. They're both super low on time, as you can see on the left. You could block with a rook, but not played. King h6 instead. King h8, also possible. Now we see takes on g3. You know, you had to do something about that pawn and the mate threat, plus the threat to take here. This one therefore played, but of course, how does Wei Yi continue? Yes, he smashes through. You don't even have to think for more than 3 seconds about that exchange sacrifice. The king ripped to shreds, forced to the f-file, obviously the queen covered here, and now the finishing touch. What's the way to go? Well, there's different ways, but the best one is this, which was played. The king sidesteps, and we saw resignation from Abdusattorov, as we can see on the left. Why? This one is dropping. If king takes, then the queen picks up another rook. If rook takes, then you check and you pick up this rook. I mean, you were winning even without winning a second rook, but now you're extra winning. Just game over, of course. So that meant that Wei Yi proceeded to the final against Gukesh. And maybe I'm spoiling, I don't know. I think most people know the results by now, but yes, Wei Yi did go on to win Tata Steel 2024, nail-biter of a finish against Gukesh, but I wanted to cover this game, which has had less love on YouTube so far, right? I hope you enjoyed. Smash subscribe if you did. Really helps me out. Never miss a future video as well. Stumbling over my words. And I hope to see you again soon. Check out the video on screen for another epic game. Thanks a lot.